Are you content? What does contentment really mean? And how do we grow in contentment in our lives? Every week inside Simply Convivial Continuing Education, I go live for about 20 or 30 minutes inside the community and we chat about a particular monthly topic. A couple months ago, our topic was contentment. And I just wanted to share a little snippet of that conversation with you today. I hope you'll enjoy it. Our focus during these sessions is kind of on those things that steal our contentment, that try to undo our contentment or tempt us away from contentment, being satisfied or pleased with where God has us right now. I don't think that contentment is, definitely doesn't need to be, I don't think it is being happy with status quo, with wanting everything to stay the same as it is right now forever and all time. I think that's a different kind of unhealthy because we are supposed to be continually learning and growing. And we also know that God changes our situations and our seasons and our circumstances and sends us different struggles and trials and blessings, all of the above. And so contentment doesn't mean just wanting or assuming everything's going to be like it is right now and being good with that. It's being good with where God has us right now and with the fact that God will be doing different works in us over time. So, contentment still is difficult when we are looking at other people and making assumptions about them. But we also need to recognize that there are differences between people. We aren't all cookie cutter. We aren't all given the same gifts. We aren't given the same circumstances, the same callings, the same responsibilities, or the same energy. There is confusion in the world today about the word equality and equality as a goal. And a primary assumption about equality in the world today is that equality is sameness. And that is unbiblical. No two ways about it. Equality is a good thing, but what God calls equality is equality before Him. We will all, as individuals, stand before God with the same requirement and receive the same judgment. Some will have that judgment, the justly deserved punishment for sin, placed on Jesus. Some will be covered in Jesus' righteousness, and all who are, no matter what was covered, receive the same mercy. And those who are not covered by Jesus' blood will not. And they will receive the judgment that they deserve for eternity. And that is the kind of equality that we all stand. We are all equal before God. We all have equal access to God in prayer. He sees each individual as made in His image and called to worship Him. And we will all, each one of us, stand before Him ourselves individually. That's equality in God's economy, which is the true economy. And any other system or worldview or economy that redefines equality as sameness is anti-Christian. God actually tells us that he gives different people different amounts of things and different places in society and different struggles and different trials, that God gives some people poverty and gives some people riches. And the equality aspect that's there is that no matter which circumstance you find yourself in, you have the same purpose, which is to glorify God. That's where the equality is. And the equality is not in what we're given. So no matter what we're given, we are called to use it and invest it for God's glory in service of his kingdom. I think the same principle applies when it comes to energy. And that's where I think some of us comparing with other people might become problematic, is we might not be given the same capacity as other people. And there's not really anything that we can do about that. We're not, our job, our responsibility is not necessarily to become as competent or as energetic, as productive as Jill down the street or whoever it is that you're comparing yourself to. We are supposed to be using the energy that we have and investing it wisely and well. And there are times where we are called to increase our productivity, our whatever. But that doesn't mean that we're all going to be able to achieve any kind of same level if we just figured out the secrets and, injected the right amount of coffee with the right planner, pair that with the right planner, and then, anybody will be able to achieve X amount of productivity level. And that's just not the case. I think the parable of the talents, where God gives one servant 10 talents and another servant 5 talents and another servant 1 talent, is that God gives each of us something. We take that something and we invest it. We don't just, the person who got the 1 talent who said, yay, I have 1 talent, I'm just going to keep it safe. And the same and status quo was the one servant who was rebuked. We're each supposed to take what we receive and invest it and expect it to grow and multiply. But the person with the 10 talents and the 5 talents at the end don't end up with the same amount. And that's okay. Neither of them are in trouble for that, right? They are both told, well done, good and faithful servant. So while we are supposed to learn from one another and increase what we have and invest what we have, which is going to be different in our different circumstances, and it's not necessarily going to be like what the world would tell us, like this will increase your productivity or whatever, or more likely we just fall into the trap of assuming productivity only means getting things on the checklist done. But actually investing in people is a kind of productivity that the world doesn't measure. And that's more the kind of calling that God actually gives us. And so, we have to have some kind of category that counts. Just time spent with people, because it's people that matter eternally. So, we have to be careful of our definition of productivity and investing ourselves, and that we don't just measure ourselves or other people, including our children, based on levels of getting things done off the checklist. Not that there's not a place for checklists, of course, right? So Anna Laura says, faithfulness with the energy I have right now might be harder and look less productive than someone else. Yes. Karen says that she likes the analogy of musical harmony. If every note in a piece had the exact same value and volume, we would not have the beautiful music that we have. It's a great point. I love that. So, we have to be careful of our definitions, is what it boils down to. Our definitions of productivity, our definitions of equality or equity, thinking that we are all supposed to end up in the same place, because we aren't. So when we are looking to other people, we can and should look to them to receive wisdom and encouragement, but not standards. Instead, we pray and ask God to give us wisdom for how to apply ourselves and invest ourselves, and expect it to be unpredictable and messy and not the like linear growth line that we sometimes expect. Like, if I do this, then I'll get this, and then I'll do this, then get this, and it's always up, ever onward and upward. And that's not how it goes in this life. It's up and down, and God brings growth through trial and struggle, and then back up. Sometimes, God gives sometimes what we need to invest and use to glorify him is a time of survival mode. And whether or illness or, there are all kinds of circumstances that we are given by God that decrease our ability to get things on the checklist done. But those in and of them, those also are circumstances that we are given to invest and to offer back to God in gratitude, and to receive with thanksgiving. And we don't know what he is going to do with that in our lives or encourage others through it, but we know that he is giving it for our good. And so even if there are times where our productivity goes down, that doesn't mean that it's we're toast. It's a season, and circumstances change. What doesn't change is that we are able to glorify God and walk in gratitude. A difficult topic. Contentment can be a difficult topic, especially when we haven't really considered that our responses, our emotions, our feelings can be intentionally shaped and changed. We don't have to simply wallow in whatever feelings happen to default pop up in our hearts and minds. We can intentionally turn our thoughts, and our emotions will follow. This is a key concept to changing our attitude, organizing our attitude. But it is a foreign concept for many of us. So I've created a free guide that will walk you through the basics in actually, practically, really changing your attitude. Go to simplyconvivial.com/attitude to get the free guide. That's simplyconvivial.com/attitude, or you can find the link in the description below.